either one of these, but these two companies will certainly be part of it. At this point, having made that bold statement, I'd like to know if anybody's got any questions.
How about Linus?
Sorry.
Linus.
Linus.
Okay. Linus, yeah, right. Okay. Linus has no heavy wearers. I'm talking about heavy wearers, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care how much, they more power to Linus. They just raised $450 million, and they'll be producing lanthanum and neodymium, and 50% of their ore body is cerium. And an officer of one of the rare earth companies said to me this morning, "Can you speculate for me what would happen if China eliminated the export tax on cerium?" I said, "Yeah, cerium would be worth nothing." He said, "Okay, now do a calculation, please, on the value of the Linus deposit." I said, "Gee, that's pretty grim." He said, "Yes, isn't it?" Now, I have nothing against Linus. More power to them. I hope they produce to beat demand. I am not an investment advisor. I'm a metals analyst. I'm not particularly interested in Linus. I also think therefore the other Australian is a long way from producing anything. And Molycorp, which if any of you want to take a ride, it's 500 miles southeast of here in California. It's the largest rare earth deposit in the United States. It could well be, it may be the largest in the world. There's no way of knowing. They stopped mapping it at 30 million tons at 9.5%. Think about how much rare earth that is. But they haven't mined a gram since 2002. They're running a refinery, and they're producing 2,500 tons, about 2% of the world's total, of rare earths right now in California, where you are. They use the concentrates they last processed in the year 2002. They have about 20,000 tons left of concentrates at 70%. That's 15,000 tons. At the current rate of production, they've got 6 years left. They're not producing for that reason. They're trying to restart the refinery process that they had, which allowed them to recover the rare earth metals through samarium and gadolinium. So far, they've been able to produce lanthanum, cerium, neodymium, and praseodymium. And they have another year to go. They told me, I was just there, before they get gadolinium and samarium, and that's where it quits. But the president of Molycorp said last week in Hong Kong that he admits he's having a problem with California regulators who do not want to permit his refinery. It's not the mining now it's the refinery. And so even if they get going at Molycorp, which we all better hope they do, it won't help us with heavy rare earths. Now, I only have a few minutes here. Heavy rare earths are critical to most modern motive technologies. Magnets, permanent magnets of the rare earth type are the smallest, most powerful magnets in the world. They're used in everything you can imagine. Cars, tiny motors that turn knobs in audio equipment, all over the place. And in order to work at high temperatures, like in a car running at high temperature or a jet aircraft that needs to move an aileron, maybe it looks cold out there to you, but in the working parts it's getting pretty hot. And magnets, permanent magnets, have the unfortunate property that when they get too hot, they stop being magnets. That could be a real problem when you're trying to move an aircraft to the surface at 600 miles an hour. So you make a special kind of alloy with these heavy rare earths, and that allows the magnet to operate at very high temperature. That's why it's important, and it's critically important to almost anything involving a generator or a motor. These metals are very important. That's why I'm emphasizing them. There are no such metals at Mountain Pass. I'm going to speculate that sometime between 2012 and 2015, a Canadian company will acquire Molycorp and form the largest rare earth company in the world. Any questions?
Molycorp have a new solvent process, a new extraction process. Does Molycorp have a new extraction process using solvents? No.
Molycorp has been producing rare earths up until 2002 from like late 50s. Okay? And the thing is, there's been a lot of advances in what's called metallurgy. These guys call, what I call chemical engineering, they call metallurgy. There have been a lot of advances since then. They stopped all work in 2002, all mining or refining. They started the refinery up again in 2007. They have one employee left who was there.
Chevron ran the operation until 2000.
Chevron owned it until 2007 in September. The deal closed 2 months ago.
The new people have some sort of a new process of extraction using some solvent that apparently is much more efficient. Are you aware of this? A method of extracting the rare earths using a special solvent.
That's how you do it, sir. They have a huge solvent extraction plant there. I walked it. They were very open. We talked about what they use what solvents they use. But what you need to know is that if you load that plant on the front end today, the higher atomic number of rare earths won't come out for 18 months. That's a very, very long process. And nobody there has run the process to that level, except one gentleman, the chief engineer. They are trying to restart it. It is not something you do with a switch. Okay? It's a process, and they have not been successful yet beyond neodymium. I'm not knocking them. That's the only rare earth separation processing plant that I'm aware of in the Western world. So they're the only ones who've got such a plant, and I hope they actually get it back into full operation. But the problem is California is saying, not me, that you have a new process requires a new permit. I think that's what's stopping them.
What's the total market for heavy? Sorry. What's the total market in dollars for heavy rare earths? What is total market in dollars?
Can somebody translate?
Total market in dollars. That's the market share.
He wants to know what's the total market in dollars.
How much is due?
Last year, about $1 billion.
Billion?
It's trivial.
Billion.
It's the market isn't important. At the mine face, the products in which these chemicals go, these elements go, represent hundreds of billions of dollars of product. That's the key, and we will not be able to make them without that $1 billion form. The actual amount of earth in any particular product is sort of trivial.
And
It's,
second question.
price is not the
Rare Element Resources, RES, company. So, Rare Element Resources.
What's the most important one?
He's asking for your opinion.
Opinion of this company.
Company that trades under the ticker RES.
Can somebody tell me what that was?
Rare element.
No, guys.
He's asking about RES as the company RES.
Jack.
Elements, rare element.
Rare element resources.
Rare earth elements?
Rare Element.
You mean rare element resources?
Yes.
Yeah, but they're not anywhere near where in production. What I'm talking about is production of material, not what you've got in the ground, not an exploration situation. Actual production. That takes years, and Avalon and Great Western are there. That's why they're the most important rare earth companies in the world right now. That's it. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm out of time.